Hi, folks. Welcome to the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker. I am your host, Chipper Lewis, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Joel Fry. Joel, how's it going, buddy?
It's going really well. Things are pretty good right now. Even though the Cubs are in second place as of the recording of this episode, I still don't want to give up on this franchise this year. So I'm keeping myself optimistic, man. Looking forward to talking some Cubs baseball tonight, and hopefully hoping for brighter days ahead.
Yes, so are you on board with my campaign that I started yesterday? Just believe. Hashtag just believe. Are you on board with it?
Of course, I'm on board with it. I would believe if the Cubs were 20 games under 500, but right now, I mean, you have a chance. People who are watching this might live in a world where the Cubs are 2 games out of first place. You're firmly in the second wild card spot. I feel so strongly the Cubs are going to make the postseason. And you know what? You got cold against a really good Washington Nationals team at the worst time as the Cardinals are beating up on their opponents. So the Cardinals are playing red hot baseball right now. The Cubs are playing about 500 baseball, which isn't good enough, and they're going to need to rate that. But I firmly believe, like you do, I just believe that they are going to pull this out.
Yes. Again, that is hashtag just believe. Let's roll with it, folks. If you like and subscribe to this YouTube page, which Joel and I highly recommend you do, because we believe in what we say.
Yes.
You will have seen my last 2 videos, and I am sick and tired of this team underperforming. And that's what my videos have been about. And I felt like that we needed to, as fans, to let the players know we're behind them. We are behind them. We're done bashing them when they lose, being aggravated, and all that. We believe in this team. And you know what? And that's the way we should go about doing it. It all started with last night, and it's going on tonight, which we both know. And anybody who's listening to this knows that we're watching the game. We know the score. And we know hashtag just believe is working. It's working. Cubs are on the verge of winning their second road series in a row, Joel.
Which is pretty impressive considering they hadn't won one in 3 months. So
Exactly.
winning back-to-back road series right now feels like Christmas in July, honestly, or Christmas in August.
Christmas in August. Because, yeah, what is it? It's August 28th. Hey, 3 days. Yeah, I was going for August 25th, and that didn't work. I didn't know where I was going with that.
No, you're good.
But let's talk about that national sweep. Let's start there with the podcast. Let's start there with our first topic. Timer is on, Joel. How disappointed were you with that sweep by the Nationals?
I was bothered, especially by the first game and the third game. Second game, I mean, look, 7-2. It felt like a baseball loss. That first game of the series, you were down 1-0 early, and I felt like the Cubs were going to be able to stay in that one. And before you knew it, when you look up, you blink, it's 5-0, then 9-0. Boy, I wonder if there is something to that whole thinking you're going to win at home and taking it for granted. I don't normally believe in that kind of stuff, but I wonder about it. And then the Sunday game was frustrating because you fight back. You get back to 5-5. You feel good about yourself in extra innings. I'm one of those guys who I feel any extra inning game at Wrigley Field, the Cubs are going to win. I never for a second, no matter what the score is in extra innings, if it gets past the 9th, I am convinced the Cubs are going to win at home. And to see them not be able to pull it off was frustrating and disappointing. And knowing that the Cardinals had just had a really successful weekend series made it all the more difficult to swallow, because you knew every single game in that was just you're getting one game further away from the Cardinals, and you're also losing one game to possibly catch up to them. So rather than being, what was the Cubs, 2.5 games up about a week and a half ago, and now you're 3 games down after the weekend.
3.5.
Yeah,
they were up 3.5.
And it makes it really tough to stomach. The Cardinals get hot just as you are squandering another opportunity to extend your Central Division The Cubs honestly should be in first place. You look at talent, and they should be there. You look at opportunities squandered. The Cubs should be there. Home record, by the way, still 44-22. That is a phenomenal home record. So I'm not that worried about it. It felt like, law of percentages, the Cubs were eventually going to lose a series at home. You hate to see them get swept. I would have been able to stomach 2 out of 3, but getting swept is difficult. So. No, that was a tough series, man. Absolutely, top to bottom. Hated to see it.
I tip my hat to the Nationals. They are a good team. They are an extremely hot team right now. They are 5.5 behind Atlanta in that division that I thought was over with. I thought that division was done. And Nationals have made it interesting. They are an extremely hot team, and I tell you what, when it comes to the postseason, when it comes to that best out of 5, I think we've said it here the last 2 weeks. That is a rotation that I do not want to face in a division series. You're 1, 2, 3 of Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. No thanks. I'm good. Let them face the Dodgers and eliminate them.
I understand that, and I'm with you that I wouldn't want to face. I wouldn't want to face either. Right now, here's the problem. I wonder about other teams and how they see the Cubs rotation right now. Because the Cubs aren't scoring very many runs the last couple of games, notwithstanding, especially tonight's game. But where have the Cubs struggled the most? It has been in scoring runs. And, of course, the bullpen issues. But that rotation, you've got – if you have your if you have a 3-game series and the 3 guys you have to face are Yu Darvish, Kyle Hendricks, and who? Cole Hamels, Jose Quintana? Is that who you're thinking for that 3rd game?
I would be perfectly okay with that.
You'd be okay with that? That's the thing. I feel good as a Cubs fan throwing those guys out there, rolling that rotation out, and then seeing where the chips lie. So you got to make sure – you got to get out of that 1-game playoff. Even though if you put – okay, 1-game playoff, who do you got? You got Darvish or you got Hendricks or Quintana?
Ooh, Darvish right now. Right now, Darvish.
Okay.
He convinced me last night, just based on last night's game against the Mets. It's Darvish.
And, of course, you make it much more difficult for yourself to win a series if you can only get Darvish for one game in that best of 5.
See, and I don't care about that because you got to get to that series first.
And I understand that. I totally get. No. I'm not saying don't use Darvish. I'm saying use him, but getting into that 1-game playoff makes it a real problem for you in the next round because now you're not using probably your best. Yeah, clearly your pitcher with the best stuff, and maybe your best performing, maybe your second best performing pitcher after Quintana, and even Hendricks is pitching really well. So it's tough to see, man. That's a nice problem to have for the Cubs right now. But you got to score the requisite number of runs to get through that as well.
You know what's an amazing problem is the fact that we are calling Jon Lester and Cole Hamels your 4-5 in the playoff rotation. That's a great problem right there. Because both those guys are legit playoff pitchers. And we're talking about them not being 1, 2, or 3. We're talking about them being 4th and 5th. The Cubs legitimately can go 5 starters in a playoff series.
They certainly can. They won't.
They won't because Cole Hamels will go to the bullpen most likely, just like last year. With the wild card game. Cole Hamels came in the wild card game. Pitched great. Cubs lost in extra innings, of course, but Cole Hamels pitched great in playoff and bullpen relief. But that's my thinking. There is Cole Hamels is eventually going to be in the bullpen in the playoffs. Jon Lester will be your 4th starter, and they will go 4 starters if they can get to the NLCS.
If they can get there. Here's my thought about the Nationals. I don't believe in them being able to pitch that well against the Cubs again. And their bullpen does struggle. We saw that in the series. Even though the Cubs got swept, I saw some things that were positives for me that I felt good about as a Cubs fan if you get into a winner-take-all 5-game series. Problem is, you got to get there. The Cubs can hit great pitching, and Scherzer is more than great pitching. Scherzer is historically good pitching if he's healthy. And Strasburg has done well against the Cubs in the postseason in the past. That said, I'll take my chances against them. I know that they're a scary 1-2-3, but you know what? I still think the Cubs 1-2-3 is just as scary on the right day. In different ways. They're scary in different ways.
Yes.
But Kyle Hendricks is someone who I think at this point, Kyle Hendricks has earned the right to be considered a formidable guy you should fear if he's going up against you in the postseason.
I agree. Max Scherzer, before we wrap this up, Max Scherzer, top 3 best pitchers we've ever seen in our lifetime. We'll go
That's
down.
That's tough, man. Hold on. Top 3 and we've ever seen in our lifetime?
In his prime. In their prime. So far in our lifetime, Max Scherzer, top 3.
Okay, number 1 in his prime is Pedro Martinez. Number 2 in his prime is Clayton Kershaw. 3 is Randy Johnson. 4 is probably. See, now you're making me think because
I would put Scherzer ahead of Johnson.
Really?
Yes,
you would put Scherzer ahead of Randy Johnson.
Yes, I would, because I trust Scherzer to go out there and pitch 9 innings if I have to have 9 innings from him. And Randy Johnson, I felt like just couldn't do that if you asked him to do it.
You've got to be okay. All right.
That's just me.
Are we talking postseason? Does he need 9? Hold on. Is this best pitcher we've seen in our lifetime, or is this who do you trust to throw a complete game shutout in the postseason?
No, this is everything. Regular season, postseason, anything. Any situation. Because if we're talking postseason, Curt Schilling's in my top 3.
Yeah, I would put Scherzer behind Randy Johnson.
Yeah, see, I would put Scherzer ahead of Johnson. Johnson's 4th, Scherzer's 3rd for me. I agree with you on 1 and 2, 100%.
Where do you put Greg Maddux? Is he getting hurt in your mind by the whole Kyle Hendricks factor of not overpowering guys with 20 strikeouts?
No, I would still put him at number. Oh gosh, I don't know. It's tough. Because then you have Roger Clemens.
Yeah, do you take Roger Clemens' 1997 and 1998 seasons, which we were both alive for and able to see and marvel at? You take those 2 seasons, or do you take Scherzer's 2016 and 2017 seasons? Frankly, I mean, I don't have the numbers up right now. I'm sorry for interrupting, but this has gotten this is going to stick in my craw if we don't talk this out, dude. Do you take Scherzer's best season or Justin Verlander's best season?
Scherzer.
Okay.
I still take Scherzer.
Okay. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I just remember Justin Verlander's MVP season being otherworldly.
Oh, yes, I understand that. I still don't think Verlander should have won the MVP though.
Okay.
I don't believe pitchers should win MVP.
Pitcher should never win MVP.
No, pitcher should never win MVP. A guy who pitches every 5 days should not win MVP. There's no way.
And we're talking their prime. We're talking pitchers in their prime. So
we're talking a team with Miguel Cabrera in his prime.
Miguel Cabrera? Well, I mean, okay, Miguel Cabrera in his prime, one of the best pitchers one of the best hitters I've ever seen.
Yeah, Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, which doesn't necessarily mean all. I mean, it means a lot. But so, okay, best hitter you've ever seen in their prime. I mean,
Albert Pujols.
Probably going with Mike Trout.
I'm going Albert Pujols because I don't think Trout. I don't think Trout has hit his prime yet, which is why right now I'll go Albert Pujols.
That's fair. Okay, yeah. You know what? I'm going to change my answer. Pujols.
Yeah. People forget about that.
Best baseball player you ever saw in your prime. You going Griffey?
In his prime, I'm still going Pujols.
You're going Pujols over Griffey as a baseball player.
Absolutely. The guy was a Gold Glove first baseman. He hit 40 home runs, 300 average, on base percentage of almost 400, and over 100 RBIs every single year in his prime.
And I understand that. See, we're gonna have to define prime. Are we gonna go on by Jaws score or like their best 7 seasons? Pujols' prime was 10 years.
Yes.
So he has that advantage. He had a long prime that was great, but Griffey's prime from 1993 to 1998. So a 5-6 year prime with one injury in there. I put him as a better baseball player.
See, that's where we disagree.
Okay, and that's fine to
That's
disagree.
fine. That's fine.
I'm baffled. I am full of bafflement right now.
I was in St. Louis. I watched Albert Pujols almost every single day because
I
I
understand.
knew that was something special. And I saw him in his prime almost every single game. And he was unbelievable. He is a no doubt first round Hall of Famer. And I would make the argument that he's unanimous.
I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be
so either, because
unanimous.
there's writers who are stupid. But he's better than Derek Jeter, who has a possibility of, for whatever reason, being unanimous.
Oh, he's totally better than Jeter. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And positionally, he's better than Jeter as well.
Yes.
He's a better first baseman than Jeter was a shortstop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Albert Pujols, and I still think he's underrated when talking about greatest players. And you know, I didn't include him in my list. We talked about that last episode. We didn't include him at all in our top 5, which is understandable because I had Mickey Mantle as my 5th because of the switch hitting. But boy, I tell you what, my 6th would be Albert Pujols.
See, Pujols had a tremendous prime. It was only about a year longer than Frank Thomas's, though. And if you look at the second half of Thomas's career compared to Pujols's, I think you might find some similarities. I think Frank Thomas and Albert Pujols are pretty decent comparisons if you look at those two guys.
I still think Pujols was a better hitter. He was a better situational hitter, and he was a better hitter all around. I mean, he knew what was going on in every single at bat, and he could get you that hit that you needed, and it wasn't just home runs.
Screw it. I'm writing this down right now. I'm writing an article. When this episode is over, I'm writing an article called Pujols or Big Hurt. Who you got?
I like that. It's a fair argument, but I'm 100% going Albert Pujols. I believe he's not underrated and not overlooked like Fred McGriff is, but I think people forget how good he was in those 10 years with the St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm not disputing how great he was in that moment. I do think that if you look at him versus Frank Thomas, you're going to see some. Frank Thomas is the answer to a lot of questions. The answer to any question that goes, "Who was the first guy since Ted Williams to ... And it was Frank Thomas. So I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna do a.
And then who was the next guy?
Comparison and put it on the website.
And then who was the next guy? Albert Pujols.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to.
I understand what you're. I know that's fine. That's fine. I'm really excited for this article because this is something that I feel like we're definitely going to come back to in another episode.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I am on the Albert Pujols train here. I have jumped on. You felt the vibrations. I jumped on the wagon. I am on the Albert Pujols, the best first baseman we will ever see in our lifetime. Oh, man, if you could see my face right now.
Okay. Okay. I'll go there. Yeah, okay. If you want to go with that, I mean, all right. Best first baseman we'll ever see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, of course, 20 years from now, we're still going to be alive. There could be a guy that we don't even know who's playing high school ball right now who could be better than that. Okay?
That's the idea, man. Every generation should have better players.
I get
Sorry about the 80s, by the way. Very few best players ever came from then, but
Keith Hernandez. Very underrated.
Who do you got like from that era? My first thought is Ricky Henderson, and then that is about it.
See, I go Keith Hernandez. I go Darryl Strawberry before the drugs. Sandberg. Who else? Who else was in the 80s? Tony Gwynn started in the 80s. Ozzie Smith.
Yeah, a lot of guys started. Barry Larkin started in the 80s.
Ozzie Smith.
Okay, all right, I'll give you Ozzie.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm with you.
Bad era. It was a bad era for baseball.
It was a
bad era for uniforms and baseball
and cocaine.
Okay. Which might have made that might have been why it was a bad year.
Probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Otherwise, Dwight Gooden might be one of the answers that we gave for who had a better prime during our lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have been before our lifetime anyway, but he still would have been at the tail end of his prime by then. I mean,
Right.
Scherzer's been in the league since what, 07, 08? I mean, he's been in the league for 12 years.
Like that,
by 96, 97, Gooden was in the league for 12 years.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's funny because we sit here, we talk about, and we totally went off topic. We were talking about, Nationals and Max Scherzer, and that rolled it. But when you start talking postseason, in the 90s, was there anybody that you didn't – is there anybody you didn't – let me rephrase this. I'm not saying this right. Is there any team that didn't want David Justice on their playoff roster? David Justice in the postseason in the 90s. I mean, he was outstanding. I mean, he was the Reggie Sanders of the 2000s.
He was a real nice player.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It just seemed like he was always there. Just like Reggie Sanders was in the 2000s. Reggie Sanders was on, the Diamondbacks World Series Championship. He was on the Cardinals 06 World Series Championships. He just seemed like he was always there.
You're right. He was one of those guys. Jason Marquis was like that with a lot of playoff pitch.
Anyways, all right, that's a great time to stop this topic and move on.
Yep.
Speaking of guys who've been in the postseason, especially since he left Texas, is Yu Darvish. All right, so Yu Darvish last night against the Mets was mind-boggling. It was masterful. It was, you know what? I learned a pitch last week, and I implemented it in my repertoire. Look at me trying to use big words.
A few of them there. That was nice.
Thank you. Back to back. And it worked, Yu Darvish. Joel, does that make you excited? Does that make you, like what I already said previously, that Yu Darvish right now is my – if the Cubs have to go to a one-game playoff, Yu Darvish is my starter. Are you there with me? Go.
It thrills me. Yes, I'm with you, man. I am with you because this is what we've been waiting for. He's paid like an ace, and so is John Lester, but they're at different points in their careers right now. So I would trust you to be that ace, Yu Darvish to be that ace that we are. I'm excited about him, man. I think that the sky is the limit for him. Absolutely.
Yeah, the win was awesome last night. I loved how he pitched. Mm-hmm. But I tweeted out after the game when I found out that he had just learned that knuckle curve. I threw a knuckle curve. I learned it about sophomore year in high school. And it gave me my third type of curveball. I didn't throw hard when I pitched. But it gave me that third type of curveball I can throw. And when you can master it, it is unbelievably effective. And seeing that that video of Caratini pointing down by Pitching Ninja pointed out. Caratini is pointing down, and he wants that ball in the dirt, and Jeff McNeil just bites on it. That's the knuckle curve. That's what it can do. It's not your typical 12-6 that's going to start at your eyes and end at your knees. It's not your slurve that's going to start out of the strike zone and end up out of the strike zone, but go through the strike zone as it's coming to you. This pitch is going to be right at the bottom of the strike zone. You think it's a fastball, and the next minute it drops. That knuckle curve is unbelievable when it's pitched right, when it's thrown right, and Yu Darvish mastered it last night.
He's different, and when I say that, I know that of course that's true, but the fact that he is able to figure out a pitch so quickly, and he adds it to other pitches he has. And then here's the thing. Not only is he able to master these pitches, but he's able to throw them with variation. He can throw that knuckle curve at different speeds. He can throw his fastball at different speeds. His curveball, that Eephus pitch he has where he throws it like 65 miles an hour, and it's just bizarre. And it does weird things and moves differently. He is the closest thing I can think of to Pedro Martinez, where the arm angle is going to be the same every time, but because of what he does with his fingers, how his grip changes a little bit, he's able to manipulate that ball in ways that I cannot remember seeing from a whole lot of other guys. And because of his different pitches, you don't know really. It should make it harder for hitters to scout him and get tendencies off him. As long as he's not tipping pitches, which I wonder about that sometimes, and I'll tell you why in a second. As long as he's not tipping pitches, the guy is so hard to predict. And I think more than anything, that's what he brings to the table in a one-game playoff, is you're not going to be able to sit back and wait for the fastball on a 2-2 count, because here comes the knuckle curve or the slider or the sinker or the slow four seamer or he can throw his four seamer 94 and then he can throw it 99, and he's done it before this year. So you know that it can be replicated, especially in a big game with your adrenaline going and everything else. So very, very exciting. He has finally figured it out. He has a sub-3 ERA since the All-Star break. He has one walk in August. He's going to finish August with a walk. He has coaxed more walks since the All-Star break than he has thrown. Unbelievably impressive so far in the second half of the season. If he's able to keep this up, I really do believe in the Cubs' chances, even if they do get to a one-game playoff, of advancing from that.
Yes. So wouldn't it have been 2019 Cubs if the one walk that Darvish gave up last night and 142 batters had scored? Because he got to third base. And that would have been so 2019 Cubs that would have happened, right? I mean, that's all I could think about when Todd Frazier reached third base with 2 outs. It would just be fitting.
Yep. It would be very 2019 Cubs. If only the Cubs still had Gleyber Torres or Dylan Cease or someone.
Yes.
If only the Cubs hadn't done anything in 2016 or 17 and kept Dylan Cease and Gleyber Torres, we'd be so much better now. And no, we wouldn't have a World Series championship in 2016. However, it would portend nicely for this season, which everyone anticipated coming. So I don't know. I think I'm going to rest on my laurels there, Chipper. Sure, we can talk about how great Darvish is and all the players that are on the team who are fighting for a playoff spot right now. And the Cubs have had an unprecedented run of success with 4 straight playoff appearances.
Yes.
I'd rather focus on how nice it would be if we still had guys that aren't on the roster anymore.
Joel wants to jump to this topic, and I'm okay with that. We have 2 minutes left in the Darvish. I canceled it. We're going 7 minutes. You know what? I'm going to add the 9 minutes. We're going 9 minutes on this topic because I feel like your blood is boiling because of one Matthew Trueblood's tweet saying how much he wishes the Cubs didn't trade Gleyber Torres for Aroldis Chapman. Gold, Joe.
What's that? Did you say go, Joel?
Yes, I said go, Joel, but it came out goal.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I knew exactly what you were saying.
Go, Joel.
I like Matthew Trueblood. I like him a lot. I respect him, even when I disagree with him. I think there are really good salient points. I assume he at least has a rooting interest in the Cubs because of how much he tweets about them, and that's fine. I'm glad that he cares about the team enough to show his interest in tweet form. He appears on Cubs radio quite often, or at least Chicago sports radio. I shouldn't say Cubs radio. On Chicago sports talk radio. He has great salient points. Incredibly smart guy. I would not trade the 2016 World Series for anything that has happened since. Any player that was given up, I would take 20 losing seasons in a row if that was the only way I got to keep the 2016 World Series as a Cubs fan. I would take it in a second. And I know 100 years of Cubs fans who would as well. There is no player who I wouldn't have traded for the opportunity to watch Game 7 of the World Series with my family and to watch the parade and to take time off from work to buy tickets the next season because they were going to be at a premium and the Cubs had just won the World. Like, every minute of that experience was totally worth it to watch Eloy Jimenez hit 45 home runs next year and to watch Gleyber Gleyber Torres would be one of the most impressive young Yankees in recent memory. Or to watch Dylan Cease, be okay so far. I am fine with it. The rental pieces the Cubs got, the Aroldis Chapman going back to the Yankees, he's not as good as he used to be. The Cubs got him right before the Cubs ruined him, which is a different story. I won't worry about that right now. But Joe Madden totally ruined Aroldis Chapman. That was all on him. The bad contracts, the frustrating performance, the non-linear improvement from guys like Kyle Schwarber, who now has a career high hit homes this year. I don't want to hear about Jorge Soler, who would have been off the team by now if he was still in the Cubs plans in 2018. He there's no way he makes it through last season still as a member of the Cubs. He's down in AAA for a while. He's just the Royals had the luxury of being bad enough to wait it out with Jorge Soler. He did nothing to make you think that he was going to have a breakout 40 home run season this year, or 45 home runs, or whatever he ends up doing. But Kyle Schwarber as a left fielder is going to be just fine. His batting average is going to be around 230 because he is a career 230 hitter. I want people to stop, by the way, thinking that Kyle Schwarber is going to hit 280 someday or hit 310 or whatever, or even 250. If he hits 230 with 40 home runs, guess what? He's Adam Dunn. Fine. He's Adam Dunn who strikes out less and seems to be a little bit more opposite field conscious. I'm great with it. The Eloy Jimenez, where do you put him? You've got even if you held on to him and made him a right fielder and put Hayward in center, you're waiting for a while. Almora showed great promise against left-handed guys. He was ready faster in the Cubs' competitive window. You were going to have the Cubs would have brought Eloy Jimenez up about the same time that the White Sox did. Maybe a couple of weeks later because the White Sox ended up just buying him out and letting him be on the opening day roster. Cool. Dylan Cease, same story. He'd be up around the same time. You're waiting to try and extend a window when, in fact, you should be maximizing the one you're in, which is exactly what the Cubs did. They maximize their window. Future prospects and talent be damned. The great prospects on the team ended up being on the Major League roster. Gleyber Torres, that's the only one that I kind of feel bad about because he would have filled a hole at second base. But again, that hole at second base isn't supposed to be there because Addison Russell was supposed to be your great shortstop, and he was that season. He was you had the starting infield in the National League All-Star game in 2016. You have very young players who you anticipate are going to continue to be good. I don't second guess any of the trade decisions that the Cubs made in 2016 to make them a viable World Series candidate, regardless of what happened residually in 2017, 18, and now this year. So, to finish my point, keep Torres on the Yankees, keep Jimenez on the White Sox, keep Cease there, keep everybody where they are. I'll be fine with it. I will watch them and grumble under my breath. I will happily listen to Jason Benetti go, thanks, Cubs, for the next 10 years because I have a World Series for my favorite team that I can celebrate about. And I might not have had it otherwise. There's no guarantee that a World Series would have happened at any point if not in 2016. Don't take for granted that you're going to have a great competitive window through 2024, 25 with these guys who are no longer on the roster or no longer in the organization. It's not fair to that great team you had in 2016 to not leverage every opportunity you had to get them to the World Series and win it. Why else would you have gotten John Lester and paid all those hundreds of millions of dollars for him and for Jason Hayward? To tell them they're not worth it because you don't want to part with someone who might hit 30 home runs someday? Unfair completely and against what Theo and Jed were brought here to do in the first place. What they were brought here to do was exactly what they did. I don't second guess it one bit, and I'm glad they did it, damn it.
Ooh, take a drink of beer. Take a drink.
I don't want to. I want to chug it later. My kids are probably downstairs wondering why Daddy is yelling.
That was amazing.
I thought Daddy liked baseball. Why is he so mad about this?
I am so happy about that right now. Because that was exactly how I feel. Like I don't feel like I need to say anything else. because you literally have said everything that was on my mind. You just put it into words. It is 100% true. It's 100% true. I mean, have the Yankees won the World Series since they got Gleyber Torres? No.
No.
Have the White Sox won the World Series since they got Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease? No.
No.
Have the Tigers won the World Series since they got Candelario? No.
No.
No. Have the Royals
By the
won
way,
the World Series since they got
I forgot about Candelario.
Yeah, well, everybody forgets about Candelario. Have the Royals won the World Series since they got Jorge Soler?
Have they won a game?
What? Have they won a game? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah.
I think they've won a game because of Jorge Soler.
Have they had a week since they got Jorge Soler?
Yes. Yes. No, they haven't. And that was your point. The Cubs have won the World Series since trading away Gleyber Torres. They've been to the NLCS since trading away Eloy Jimenez, Dylan Cease, and Jorge Soler. And they went to the NLDS. I mean, to the wild card game the NLDS. Wait, no, wild card game when they traded Candelario. They went to the playoffs after every single trade. And the teams they traded to didn't win at all.
And if they do, that's fine. If the White Sox get a World Series in 2025 and Cease is the guy who wins Game 7.
I doubt he will be.
And Eloy the Cubs won the World Series.
The Cubs won the World
Series. That's it. I don't need to say it. People, like, I'm going to stay calm. Matthew Trueblood, with that tweet, again, I want to tell you, I like the guy. But with that tweet, it was the living embodiment of the joke, the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. People forget that. It's like he forgot that.
It is. You're right.
I don't know what to tell you.
You're 100% right.
I got nothing else, man. I got nothing else on this. It was really baffling to see that tweet.
Yes, I agree, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. That's why, because I knew that was stewing inside of you, and everything what you said is exactly what I wanted to be said. That was amazing.
Whose grave are you dancing on? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by bringing those things up?
So what? You don't trade Gleyber Torres for Aroldis Chapman. You don't win the World Series. You maybe win the division this year. Right? I mean, there's no guarantee that you win the World Series with Gleyber Torres this year. So now you don't win the World Series with Gleyber Torres this year. And now what? Now you're 8 years into this regime without a World Series.
And by the way, I still am baffled by how many people with the Cubs still have a job because it rained on November 2nd, 2016.
What do you mean?
The Cubs had an if the Cubs lose that game, I don't think Madden makes it out of last season. I don't think many of the players who are on the active roster right now make it through. I think that they get rid of Addison Russell because the upside is not World Series championship worthy. I don't think that Schwarber is on the roster right now. I wonder about Almora and Happ. I mean, Happ wasn't even on that team.
Right.
And I wonder about it. Because it rained on November 2nd, 2016, and because Jason Hayward made a speech and the Cubs were able to rally and take the lead, and Miguel Montero drove in the game-deciding run.
People forget that, by the way.
Yeah, they do. People forget about one of my favorite home runs I've ever seen hit was Montero's his grand slam in Game 1 of the 2016 NLCS.
I heard it on the radio. I'll never forget that.
That was crazy. What's your favorite? Just so that we can maybe get to a slightly happier.
Hang on. Before you ask that question, I understand where you were going with that. That if it didn't rain that day with these players, but would have 2017 started out the way it did if they didn't win the World Series? Would they have come out even hungrier?
That's a good question. Also, does Javi Baez have as high a profile as he does? Is it Francisco Lindor who is actually seriously? Javi Baez probably stole millions of dollars in marketing opportunities from Francisco Lindor.
I think okay, I agree, but I kind of disagree because I think Javi's market took off after the NLCS.
Yes, but if Lindor is the guy who is showing now, Javi didn't do any of these things. He didn't show up on Saturday Night Live. He didn't do the press circuit, with Jay Leno and all of them, or Jimmy Fallon, whatever. He didn't do any of that. However, I do think that Lindor does some of those things because he is the face of the Indians. So with that added exposure that he would have gotten, I think that he gets a lot of the marketing opportunities that Javi Baez has.
How about this one? If the Cubs don't win the World Series,
but that's neither here nor there.
If the Cubs don't win the World Series in 2016, do they spend their money to bring back Dexter Fowler on a 3-year deal or sign Yu Darvish?
Well, they don't know about Yu Darvish after 2016. He was signed in 2018.
I'm sorry. He was signed in 2018. But you signed Dexter Fowler in 2017 to a 3-year deal. That hampers your chances of signing Yu Darvish dramatically in 2018. Right?
It does, and I don't think so. I don't think you go after Fowler there. I think that was his one shot.
Okay.
The team looks very different. The team looks very different, man, if that's the case. I mean, even is Wilson Contreras even on the team after last season if the Cubs don't win the World Series in 2016?
Yeah.
Joe's fired. Joe's out of a
job
not on this, with the Cubs if he doesn't win the 2016 World Series.
Again, that's if 2017 happens the way it happened, of course. Correct. That's
correct.
My point. I mean, you change something in 2016, 2017, and 18 look completely different, no matter what. That's kind of what I mean. I agree with you, but then again, I disagree.
Sure, totally. Yeah, no, I get you. Just kind of. No, that's fair. Yeah. I get where you're coming from with that disagreement.
Okay, this is the Ivy Boys podcast presented by Rebecca Lewis, the MVP realtor of the St. Louis area. Rebecca Lewis knows with Coldwell Banker Decker can answer all your questions related to selling your home fast. She knows the St. Louis area, can expertly consult you on your area's property values, information about housing trends, and how Coldwell Banker Decker can get your home sold fast. Speaking of sold houses, Rebecca sold another house quickly. And I think it was a week. It went on the market, and
I saw that.
A week
that was
later,
very impressive.
It's gone. She has another house posted on her Facebook page right now. Just you have to look up Rebecca Lewis of Coldwell Banker Gundecker. Another house posted. I guarantee it'll be gone in a week or two. Because Rebecca Lewis is a no-nonsense realtor. Joel's favorite right there. She's a no-nonsense realtor.
She's not coming to a meeting with a clown nose on. Nope. She's not coming with big floppy shoes.
She
isn't going to renegotiate so that instead of getting $240,000 for a house, you get 16 walnuts. That's not something she would do. She's no nonsense, man.
No nonsense. Rebecca Lewis, with her detailed marketing plan, will outline her impressive online presence and a recommended professional list that includes contractors, painters, home cleaning, and home staging service that will keep your home at the top of any buyer's must-have list. So contact Rebecca Lewis at 314-369-9680 or RebeccaSellsDreams.com to get your home on the market now. All right. I'm done. It's beer chug time. Do we want German music?
Let's do it, man. Why not?
Okay.
I have a German beer.
Yes, let's talk about our beers. I'll go first. I'm drinking. I want to point out that I chose Miller Lite. I could have gone something different. I chose Miller Lite tonight because it's my connection for the Brewers today that I was hoping that they would win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they won too.
They won, so
good news
did
there.
It work? I think so. So that's why I'm still drinking Miller Lite. Joel, you're drinking Natty Ice. Now explain to me why you chose that disgusting beer.
Okay, so I realized on Sunday that it was the 14th anniversary of the first beer I ever had. I was a freshman at college. I was at a party that one of my friends who went to the same college as me, he was a senior. We knew each other from high school. He was a good buddy, and he invited me to his house for a party, and I never drank. I never drank in high school, nothing like that. I was a total straight edge. But figure first weekend, might as well let loose. And he only had Natty Ice because it was a college party.
I get it.
And he couldn't afford anything else. And I thought it was pretty good because I didn't know what good beer tasted like. And I am commemorating my 14th anniversary of drinking with a Natty Ice.
Okay, so that's why you're drinking that horrible, horrible beer.
Yeah, so after the party, I drank 6 of them, and I told myself I'm not drunk. So I left the party by running from his house. I ran from his house to my dorm, saying, I'm not drunk, I'm not drunk, I'm not drunk. And I got to my room. I declared to my roommate, I'm not drunk. I emailed a girl that I was friends with from high school saying, I'm not drunk. Because, that's what people who aren't drunk do.
Right.
And then I slept for 11 hours.
That is also what people in the early 2000s and mid 2000s did. They emailed people instead of texting.
That's right. I didn't have a phone that texted back then.
Neither
I didn't have that till I was a junior in college.
Yes. Yes.
2007.
2007. So you didn't have your first beer till 2007.
5. I didn't have it till 2005. Sorry. I got my first phone in 2007 that could text.
Sorry, I got confused.
It's all in the chronology.
No, I get it. The second time I drank beer was a college party out of a keg. I don't condone underage drinking. I just want to point that out. The Ivy Boys do not condone underage drinking.
No.
But college is college. Anyways, let's turn this music up. I'm ready for this.
Let's go.
Cubs are on a roll. Hashtag Just Believe is what we're cheering to here tonight. Just Believe. And go Cubs go. Right? 1, 2, 3.
Go Cubs go.
Oh, man. Right when the music ended.
So.
Oh, that was good.
It was really good. I need to start thinking about beers that will taste good if they're just slightly below room temperature.
Yes, because this beer sits here because we're not rich and we don't have fridges in our rooms.
I just put it on the desk next to me, and I'll be darned if I don't continuously pick beers that don't taste very good when they're not cold.
Sometimes I get a metal mixing bowl, and I fill it with ice. You laugh, but I'm dead serious. And I will put my beer in there.
I'm going to put my beer in a thermos next week, just so it stays a little bit colder.
I'm going to put my beer in my Yeti.
Because I'm aware that I drank a beer, but I do not feel refreshed.
No, that was unbelievably warm. That was like, I feel like I'm in London drinking beer.
Like the joy of beer is that it's supposed to be refreshing and
that was
mellows you out. Warm. And I'm going to be mellow. Pardon me. I'm going to be mellow in about 15 minutes. I will not be refreshed.
No.
I'm going to have a Crystal Light when I go downstairs. Watch the rest of the game.
I'm going to have another beer, but we have to wrap this up before these beers actually hit. because I've had a couple, and by a couple I mean like 4 before this. And as soon as this chug hits, I'm just going to be worse than I am right now. So, let's get to the final thoughts.
Sleep well tonight.
Yeah, I am. Joel, your final thought. Go.
My final thought is going to be a reiteration of what you have been saying all night. Hashtag just believe. The 2 games out. Remember how many games out were the Brewers last year, Chipper, on the first day of September?
6.
I thought it was like 4 and a half.
4.
Either way, guess what it was definitely? It was definitely more than 2.
Yes.
The Cubs are not dead. Don't believe for a second they're dead. Yes, they are infuriating. Yes, they're frustrating. No, it doesn't seem like they can keep any semblance of consistency whatsoever. But with a roster this talented, with a pitching staff this good, believe that they're going to win the Central until you can't statistically or mathematically think so otherwise.
Yeah, And you know what? My final thought is going to piggyback on it. You know it was. Hashtag, Joel's doing this all night. I like that. Hashtag, just believe. Just believe. It's simple as that. My videos the last two nights have proved it. Tonight and last night. And you know what? That's why I'm wearing this hat tonight. The Chicago Cubs World Series Championship hat. Because remember, we are only 3 years removed. Majority of the players on this roster were on that team that won the World Series. They know how to do it. And I believe in them. They are still led by the same players they were led in 2016. This team knows how to win. And I have no doubt that they can do it again. But I felt like that they just needed a reminder. And that's where hashtag Just Believe comes in. So hashtag it. Just Believe. Tag those players in on Twitter. John Lester, Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Kyle Hendricks, all of them, Wilson Contreras, Chris Bryant, Joe Madden. Tag them in your tweets with hashtag Just Believe. Let's start a movement here. Let's remind Cub fans that this team is too good to not win this division. This team is too good not to go to the playoffs. This team is too good to not have a shot of winning another World Series championship. We just have to remind them. We just have to believe, and that's all I'm asking you is hashtag Just Believe.
Teams with worse chances of making the playoffs have won the World Series.
2006 St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
They won what?
Wild card team.
No, they won 85 games. They won the division in 06.
They won 80. They won 83 that year.
83. I'm sorry. They won. They were the wild card team in 2011. How many Giants World Series of those 3 World Series championships were they the wild card team? I know of one in 2014.
Yes,
15.
2003.
14.
Well, since the wild card game came into effect, were the Royals? The Royals weren't a wild card team.
No, they just completely
I'll have to look
destroyed
into that.
everybody. No, that Royals team in 2015 was really good. Yeah, and then they got Johnny Cueto, and that was the end of that. So, yeah. No, just believe, folks. Just believe this team's too good to bow out this quickly. I'm not worried.
That's right.
I am getting a little worried about this game, Joel. I just want to point that out. It's 10-6.
You getting worried about the game?
It's 10-6.
It'll be all right.
Okay. As long as you tell me it's okay. Anyways, folks, that's it for us. Follow us on Twitter at the Ivy Boys. Follow me on Twitter at ChipperStrike3, just the number 3. Follow Joel on Twitter at Fry Sports Radio. Like us on Facebook. You know the drill here. Like us on Facebook. Bob usually takes care of the Facebook page. He posts things, interacts with fans and stuff like that. Like and subscribe to this YouTube page. And this is our bread and butter right now, is the YouTube page. You will see videos from me like the last 2 times before this podcast, the Just Believe movement. You will see me videos of me making fun of other teams, but kind of not. YouTube is where it's at. Like and subscribe. You will see fried foods.
Fried foods. Yep, it got really late, and I had to let my kids sleep the last time I was working on the video. So.
No, I get
But
it.
I've got it.
That's cool. It's coming. I know it's coming. They're filmed, so it's coming. And I'm excited for that one.
I should send you the.
Oh, he's going to send. Okay, there we go. See, it's happening. It might happen tomorrow.
I hope so.
Maybe. We'll see. But yes, the YouTube. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe because we need followers. We need subscribers. We need people to like these videos, view these videos so we can get sponsors because sponsors give us money and money makes us give you merchandise. Makes you give us. I just did that. Makes us make merchandise that you can buy. So if you want a merch store and you want amazing Ivy Boys podcast merchandise that I'm not wearing right now, and that's okay, Bob. Like and subscribe to this YouTube page. Give us the views, because that way we can go to sponsors and say, hey, look, I have people watching. That's how this works, folks. So definitely like and subscribe. Where am I? Go to our website, The Ivy Boys. Joel, you're going to have a blog posted. I'm really excited about this one. The Big Hurt versus Albert Pools. extremely un-Cubs related. Cubs unrelated. I see the beer's starting to hit. Okay, it's starting that chug there for my 5th or 6th beer is starting to hit. Unrelated to the Cubs, but Pujols versus Big Hurt. We are definitely going to come back to this in another episode. Hopefully, we're not drinking as much before this conversation. That's coming.
We.
Okay, me, but that's okay. I'm really excited for this article. So definitely go to our website, check it out. Check Twitter, Facebook, you'll know when it hits. So you can go to the website, theivyboys.com. If you like the way our website looks, you know the drill, folks. Scroll on down, you'll see Bob's name. It's Bob Marufo of bobdoeswork.com. Bobdoeswork.com. It's a new website. Bobdoeswork.com. It's a new named website. So contact him there if you want anything done. Logos, anything you want our website, your website to look like ours, it's bobdoeswork.com. Bob Marufo does amazing work. Joel and I will sit here and just talk all the time about how awesome Bob and his buddy Vince has been for us. We are advocates for Bob and Vince because we would not be here without them. They are Ivy boys. They are they're not on screen a lot. And that's okay. They're the background of the Ivy boys, but they are Ivy boys through and through. There's 4 of us. You see 2 of us, but there's 4 of us, and that's Bob and Vince, who have their own podcast called Beyond the Cube, the best podcast in the 815. So check it out everywhere that you can see our podcast or hear our podcast. That's iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Store, TuneIn. Beyond the Cube. It's just about life, and it's great. And they discuss TV shows, they discuss movies, they discuss real life topics. Beyond the Cube is awesome. So definitely check it out. Again, the best podcast in the 815. So anyways, folks, that is it for us. We appreciate the support, and we will see you next episode.